Everyone, very nice to see people here, old faces and some new faces. I'm Mary Adams, and I'm going to call to order the Wednesday, January 25th Board of Directors meeting for the Transportation Agency of Monterey County. Can we please have a quorum check?
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Here, online.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Here.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Here.
District 4, Supervisor Askew. Here. District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Here.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Yeah.
City of Del Rio. City of Gonzales.
Here.
City of Greenfield. City of King City.
Present.
City of Marina. Present. City of Monterey.
Present.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salinas.
Here.
City of Sand City.
Here.
City of Seaside.
Here.
City of Soledad.
Here.
AMDAG. Here. Caltrans District 5.
Here.
Monterey Bay Air Resource District. Monterey Regional Airport District.
Here.
Monterey Salinas Transit. City of Watsonville. CSUMB. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And now I hope you will join me as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Chair, Monterey Salinas Transit wasn't called. I just like to note that we are here.
Thank you. We heard, but you didn't.
We're in a dead zone here because neither of us.
Okay, back to order here. This is the time of our meeting when I'm going to turn to Todd and have him introduce our new members.
Thank you. I just wanted to take this opportunity. We have a few new board members and wanted to take a moment to welcome them to this TAMC board meeting. And you may not know this, but this is our first live meeting in over 2 years. So it's all kind of surreal to the rest of us. But with us, we have Andrew Sandoval from the city of Salinas.
Welcome. Welcome, Andrew.
And Supervisor Glenn Church.
Welcome, Glenn.
And on the screen, we have Rachel Ortiz from Greenfield.
Welcome. Thank you very much and welcome to everyone. We'll have an opportunity for some interaction as we go through our meeting today.
One more thing.
Oh, yes.
Just a housekeeping announcement.
Oh, thank you.
The restrooms are located back down the hall past security, just through the next door. So if you need to use restrooms, we do have the door propped open, but if that door is not propped open, you need to pass security pass to get back in. So in case you need to use the facilities, those are the key information.
Okay, great, good. Now, this is an opportunity for any member of the public who wishes to comment on anything that is not on today's agenda to make comments. And always I'll be relying on you to help me with Zoom in case there are people who have their hands raised at Zoom.
We have Mike behind you looking at the Zoom. And I will help you on the board.
Okay, thank you. So any member of the public who wishes to speak, please stand and speak if you're in the room. I'm not seeing any member of the public who is standing to speak, so I will go to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to make comments today on any items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, then we will close public comment and move on to our agenda. The next item is item 3, which is the consent calendar. Is there any member of the board that wishes to pull anything from our consent calendar today? I'm seeing no hands raised here, nor am I seeing any hands raised on the screen. Is there any member of the public who wishes to pull anything from today's consent agenda? Seeing no one on Zoom, then we will close consent, and I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Lopez moves consent.
Thank
Second.
you, thank you. So we have a motion from Lopez and a second from Smith. We need to do a roll call vote since we are not all in person. So up to you, Eloise.
District 1 Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
District 2 Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4 Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5 Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Del Rio. City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of Greenfield.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
City of Soledad.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. And now we will get into our other agenda items, and we will go to item number 4, which is the election of officers. And at this point, we will receive a report from the nominating committee, which was comprised of Ed Smith as chair, myself as the member. And we will elect a chair, first vice chair, second vice chair of the board for the term beginning upon the election through the next election of officers, which would be in January 24th of 2024. And then we will also receive a report from the nominating committee and elect members of the executive committee for their term beginning upon the election, again, through January 24th, 2024. So I will look to Ed to make the nominating report.
Okay, so I'm looking at my agenda, and the first one is the nominating committee and elect chair first, chair and second chair to the board. So procedurally, are we doing something different than we had discussed?
We will be taking 2 motions,
Okay,
and we will have the first item, which is 4.1. And if you want to make the presentation at this point.
yeah, I'll do that.
Sorry, and then we will have board comment,
Okay,
and then we will have public comment, and then we will take a vote on 4.1, and then we will do the same for 4.2.
okay, sounds good. So as a member of the executive committee and past member of, or past chair, as normally what we do on the executive committee by explanation is that each year, 2 members of the board are selected for making recommendations to get together. Mary Adams and myself were elected to be those persons. I'm the past chair last year. This year is the chair, Mary Adams. So we get together to discuss, to determine who should be selected to be on the executive committee. The executive committee, I believe you've got the lineup of who's there, but the past chair serves on the executive committee. I've served this last year as the past chair, and so I fall off of the executive committee. And then we need to have that replacement cycled forward. So Mary will then become the past chair. So that creates a vacancy. And this year we had 1 member of our executive committee, Mayor Kimberly Craig, who elected to take herself off of the executive committee due to some time constraints and conflicts. And then the discussion was, well, who would we replace and recommend to replace Kimberly Craig's vacancy? So we looked across the board to determine who the choices are. And the executive committee is recommending Chaps Padori as a new member to join the executive committee, and also recommending Dave Potter to come on board the executive committee and replace the vacancy created by Kimberly Craig, who is stepping off of the executive committee. The criteria has kind of always been from the executive or from the board selection subcommittee is looking for folks to join the executive committee who have already been working on the full board and served a couple of years, is aware of all of the moving parts, and the service on the executive committee meets once a month. And to join the executive committee, it's important to look for experience and service on the full board. So at this time, The nominating committee is recommending Chaps Pedore to come on board to the executive committee representing Pacific Grove. And he's been a member of the full board for a couple of years. And Chaps has been fully participating in many things. And also making the recommendation for Dave Potter from Carmel, the mayor, to join the executive committee. And he comes with many years of experience and a high level of commitment to rail. And Salinas Rail is very important to us and certainly has a lot of the experience that we would look for on the executive committee. And that's the recommendation.
Thank you. So that would be a motion from the committee. Is there a second to this motion?
Second. Alejo.
Just for clarity, though, are we doing item 2 first then? The nominating for elect members to the executive committee? Not the chair, vice chair, which was motion, or item 1 on the agenda.
That combined both one
Well,
and
but
two.
he-
The report
he-
combined both
he
one
was
and two.
His report was on 2.
Right, he didn't report on 1.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move both as written in the agenda, items 1 and 2, if that makes it easier as a substitute motion.
I think that's what the chair was looking for.
Second.
Who was the second?
It was
Alejo.
Alejo.
Okay, thank you.
So,
I'm sorry.
I was on the substitute.
Okay, got it.
okay, so there was a substitute motion?
Right.
And that would be to have one vote on items 4.1 and 4.2. So we are now going to vote on the substitute motion to take both of the items together as one motion. And we would need to have public comment on the substitute motion as well.
Before you take a vote.
On the item
On the
itself.
On the items, okay. Okay, so now we will go to board comment and then public comment. Okay, is there any member of the board that wishes to comment? This is, I'm so sorry that I feel so inept here, but I'll have to just check again. So are we commenting on the substitute motion or the original motion for board comment?
I believe it'd be the substitute motion.
Okay, so the substitute motion is simply to combine into one motion rather than two. Is there any member of the board that wishes to comment on the process of having it be one motion, one vote instead of two votes? And we have, that is the substitute motion, and we have a motion and a second on that. Seeing no comments, hands raised. Is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on the substitute motion? I'm seeing no hands raised from the public. So now we will have a roll call vote on the substitute motion. To have it just be one vote for 4.1 and 4.2.
Chair, may I ask something? I'm sorry to interrupt. 4.1 would also elect the chair, first vice chair, and second vice chair of the board. So how would this vote accomplish that? If you combine them both, then the report would elect the members to the executive committee, but would not have made a decision as to the chair and first vice chair. What's the
That
problem?
reference was spelled out in the report, so I believe I would nominate then, so clarifying the substitute motion, the chair would be Mayor LaBarre from King City. Vice chair would be myself, and who was the,
Dave Potter
Dave
would be
Potter,
the second.
second vice chair, Mary Adams, past chair, county rep Wendy Askew, and city rep Chaps Pedore,
there you go, so that's the clarified substitute.
election of officers.
Good.
I believe.
Point, does that include CHAP and other appointments to the exec?
So we essentially are doing both the executive committee and the board
All in one.
in one swell food.
As long as it's clear, I just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Mary, comment?
Yes,
Yeah, just to, I know for the lawyers in the room, the motion, I believe, is including packet page 12 of the packet of 139, where the executive committee is lined out as Supervisor Lopez has just indicated. So it's packet page 12, if anyone is lost on the map of what we're doing here. So as I understand it, that's the motion and the discussion for the executive positions.
thank you for that clarification. Yes, you can do another roll call vote.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Aye.
District 2 Supervisor Church.
Aye.
District 3 Supervisor Lopez.
Aye.
District 4 Supervisor Askew.
Aye.
District 5 Supervisor Adams.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Del Rio. City of Gonzales.
Aye.
City of Greenfield.
Aye.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina.
Aye.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside.
Aye.
City of Soledad.
Aye.
Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And now we will go back to the actual item itself, which is now to, there is a motion on the floor from the nominating committee and a second to receive and approve the report that is in your packets on page 12 with the names that have been mentioned.
That was all done in the last motion.
The last motion.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Item
Yeah.
4
We
is
don't have to go
voted.
through this again. Okay,
That was the clarified motion.
that was the clarifying motion.
Yes.
Okay. So then I am at the point of saying, do we need to have an additional vote?
Next item.
No, you can hand the gavel over to.
Transfer.
Mike Labar.
I never thought this moment would come. You have no idea how delighted I am. And hand this August gavel to you. Thank you. I feel terrible that my last act as board chair was so discombobulated, but I meant well.
Don't worry. Now you handed it to me.
Thank
so
you.
I'll make you look even better.
I doubt that. Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you, well, now past chair. Very much appreciated the service. And just want to thank the board for this opportunity. It is a privilege to represent such a board that has accomplished so much. Before we move to the next one, I just want to say I'm very proud of TAMC, TAMC staff, and our board, how we've all worked as a team to bring much needed dollars to our communities. We've been highly successful, and I hope this year is even more successful. Thank you.
New chair, may I make a comment?
Yes.
Because this is also a monumental time for me because I'm now off the executive committee. Thank you, chaps. I'll now sleep in on Wednesday mornings, I guess. I just want to say congratulations, Mike. I think you were perfect in incoming chair and you'll do great representing South County and now all of Monterey County and TAMC. And thank you, Mary, for your services last year. And as a past chair, I understand the extra burden of what it means. And you've done a fine job and kept us again together during difficult times as we trail out of the Zoom meetings and doing everything hybrid to now this great moment where we get to come together and be in person. And welcome to those new members who are here for their first meeting. That's the in-person meeting. And the ceremonial piece and the transfer from the current chair to the incoming chair is important because I was thinking about this today. Our first meeting together, what a great time to be able to do the transfer and have an incoming chair. And also so important that we recognize that TAMC as a county represents beyond politics or left or right or center. None of that matters. This is all about focused on quality of life and transportation in the county of Monterey and how we work together regardless of what our political positions is. And this is a unique group, a unique board to serve on for the county of Monterey. So I just want to acknowledge that moment today as we transfer to a new incoming chair and welcome aboard to everybody else to probably, I'm going to get in trouble. One of the best boards that I serve on is Transportation Authority of Monterey County, but congratulations, Mary. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you. And when we get to the next item, we'll have an opportunity for the board to recognize Mary. First, Christina, and then Alejandro.
I too just want to echo what Mr. Smith said, and especially looking at who, thank you very much to the nominating committee for coming up with such a good diversified list here, representing our entire county. So in looking, South County is represented, the peninsula is represented. I'm very excited that Chaps is in this new role. I think he's a perfect choice. And I'm very excited to see us working together. Seeing that the North County will be represented by Wendy Root Askew, working very closely with, with the county perspective. I think we've got a lot of good work, and we've got a really, I don't want to say like a global perspective, but I think all the skill sets are in place to really do some good work in this coming year. So I really am glad that the nominating committee took the time to really think it through and make the right choices. And thank you, Mayor LaBarre. I'm very excited to see you chairing, and we'll say thank you to the others. So I just want to give a thank you to the nominating committee and of course the staff for helping with this.
Thank you. Alejandro?
Through the chair, I just wanted to thank this board for its wisdom and what it's been able to accomplish over so many years. I think as an alternate and as a member of TAMC, I think the only person that's been here longer has been Dave overall than myself. And we've gone through a lot of changes and a lot of things that have happened. And I'm very happy to see Mike be the chair. He's been fully engaged from day one when he stepped onto this board. Radio policy across the board, he has been fully engaged. And so I'm glad to see somebody from South County being able to be in that role. And I'm glad that we have what we have. Unfortunately, with Kimberly stepping down from Salinas, we lose that representative in the Valley. So I'm glad that Chaps is coming in from the Peninsula, but I'd like to make sure that in the next round, when we come around, that we're still looking at what representation comes from the Valley, because I recall back in 2001, there was still a lot of issues going on between, the Peninsula and the Valley cities. And there was a lot of fighting that was still going on at that time. It kind of died off and has really blossomed into what this is. And I think that Ed has said it very clearly. This is one of the best boards, if not the best boards out here, where we have been able to work cohesively as a team to look at all the interests throughout this county and regionally. So thank you, Mike, and thank you to this board.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Through the chair, but of course, I want to welcome everybody. It's good to be in the room with you guys again, and appreciate the new people to the board. But my comments goes to these comments about representation and being from this side, that side of the county. This board shouldn't get into that. We should be rotating these seats, and everybody that's on the executive team or on leadership should be representing the whole county, which I know you do. But I just don't think we keep going down the road of saying because you're here, you're representing this part of the community. And I understand the other controversies other places, but this board always had a natural rotation, and we should just stick with that. And I think the group you guys have now does that.
Thank you so much. Given that, we'll now move on to item number 5, which is always a great time of the year, is present the 2022 Transportation Excellence Awards. And I will hand this off to Teresa.
Okay, great. Thank you. First of all, forgive me for not standing at the podium, but it's a little awkward flipping the presentation from there. So I'm going to do it from here. I want to say welcome. We are excited. It is January. It is a brand new year. And for the first time in 2 years, we are doing this live. So thank you all so much. This is our 20th annual award celebration. We are presenting 2 awards today, one to an employee, a public servant who has been exemplary in his service, and then also for a stellar project. So let's start with that. I will advance the slide, as I said. The first one is an individual award nominee for a public servant. And this year it's going to Andrew Easterling. Andrew is a traffic engineer. Yeah. To tell you, Andrew is online, so he will be joining us online so he can hear all the phrases that we're going to be talking about today. So Andrew is being recognized for his development and implementation of the Vision Zero Integrated into Maintenance Program, and also for his dedication to the Safe Routes to School planning and program projects in the city of Salinas. He has worked closely with the Safe Routes to School program partners to develop the Salinas Safe Routes to School plan in 2019 and through 2022. And for this Vision Zero, because through the Vision Zero integrated into maintenance program, he has started to implement projects that's going to make it safer for children and people of all ages to get around the city of Salinas. Now, Vision Zero, this board is familiar with it because we've talked about it on numerous occasions. But for those who are not, this is about safe travel for everybody. So no matter what your mode of travel is, you should have safe streets, you should have safe speeds on those streets, you should have safe vehicles, and it should be safe for all people. It's a Vision Zero is a strategy that basically eliminates all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for all. So Andrew led that within the city of Salinas. He led that Vision Zero to help develop it and then going through the process of implementing it. And you can just see from some of these slides here what he's been involved in. And they were able to identify high collision corridors within the city and then be able to target those to make those areas safer. He's also being recognized for his Safe Routes to School work. And this is just a visual that gives you a little sense of that. As you all know, Safe Routes to School is a TAMC program. It is funded by Measure X, and it offers tools, programming, and resources to schools, guardians, and communities aimed at improving safety and traffic around schools. Now, the Salinas Safe Routes to School program was adopted by the city, and it includes safety recommendations and educational programming for 45 schools throughout the city of Salinas. And these are just some of the images for the Safe Routes to School program. As you can see, it really is more than about just getting to school. It's walking, it's rolling, it's education. And these images are just some of the things that have launched not only in Salinas, but on the peninsula as well. So again, Andrew out and about in the city, doing what he does best. Some more images here. This is Mount Toro School in Salinas. And then this is an example of one of the pop-ups that occurred within the city at one of the local schools there, a Safe Route School demonstration. And so Andrew is here with his colleagues, and for all of those reasons that I told you about, we want to recognize and congratulate Andrew Easterling, who is our public servant and being recognized for this TAMC Excellence Award. And so Andrew, if you want to join us, Mike, I think we can switch to Andrew. And if you have anything that you'd like to say, Andrew, you're certainly welcome to do so at this point.
Sure. Thank you so much. It is really, it's an honor. It's so appreciated to be recognized. But I have to say, all the work the city's been doing has been a team effort. None of our recent successes with Safe Routes to School, Vision Zero, Downtown Vibrancy would have been possible without my team with Gerardo, Jose, Katie, and Jonathan, and our partners at TAMC and Ecology Action. I mean, all the work that we've been doing is really a partnership. It's a team effort. I'm nothing without our team. So I really have to say, I appreciate it so much. It is truly an honor, but it is truly a team effort. So I'll just say, thank you again. It's appreciated and it's truly an honor. Thanks.
Well, congratulations, Andrew. And I'd like to offer any board members have any comments? Any public members?
Well, I'll start, Chair.
Yes, please.
Well, coming new onto the council, I appreciate Andrew's passion, and I think he's the most knowledgeable person I've met on some of the issues that Salinas faces. So, I appreciate his willingness to always communicate and more than anything, his passion for what he's doing. And coming from a school board and seeing the work that TAMC has been doing and really the true community engagement, I'm really excited to continue working with Andrew and this board on those projects.
Thank you. Is there any public members who'd like to congratulate Andrew? The supervisor asked you.
Thank you. I just want to say, Andrew, thank you so much. We have these state initiatives and we prioritize Safe Routes to School here at TAMC, but we all know that the real work happens when you put your boots on the ground, and having staff within cities who care so passionately about keeping our kids safe, about keeping our streets safe, about ensuring that that type of community of being able to walk around and bike around, whether it's getting a kid to school or getting a grandma to cross the street to visit her grandchild or go to the park. you really are the place where all of that action comes to life. And so on behalf of TAMC, on behalf of, just our residents, I think we can all just express our deepest appreciation and thanks. We can throw policy at this all day long, but you're the one that actually gets the work done. And we're incredibly grateful to you for being here to care and put your whole into this work. Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you. I wanted just to say a couple of words of thanks as well, Andrew, because you may or may not realize the expansion of your work. As an example, I had the opportunity to go to one of the schools that participated in the Safe Routes to School. And they are the ones that did all of the pictures of the tubs that you saw painted. And I'm saying this because seeing the spirit that your initial work did reflected in the students who were coming together as teams in a way that they'd not come together before, moved in a very different, but a most positive direction. And had it not been for the work that you started, these children would not have had the opportunity to learn about communication and relying on one another and how to bond as a team. So with that expanded view, I just thank you so very, very much for what you did.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to mention that I'll remember your name, Andrew, because we have another Andrew representing you over here from your city. But thank you for all the work that you're doing, and really Vision Zero, as we look at this from a regional perspective, this is something that the city of Pacific Grove is considering as well. And I think what we need to do is learn upon the best practices that you have incorporated within your city to see how we can make the county more effective. So we'll be reaching out to you to see what kind of items can we pick up from you. But really, this is great information, and thank you for all the stellar work that you're doing.
Yeah. Happy to make myself available if you guys want any advice or lessons learned from our Vision Zero plan.
Thank you again, Andrew. We didn't see any public comment. Todd?
Just one last comment, and that is one of the main reasons that we supported Andrew's nomination, is that he does make himself available to share his knowledge throughout the county with all of us. And that's just something that we all appreciate, and it's going to make our whole county safer. So we really appreciate the board giving him this award.
And since I don't see any public comment, we'll move to the next award.
Okay, so before we do that, Andrew, I just wanted to tell you that your certificate is here, and we'll be making it a point to give it to you in person. So again, congratulations to you. So the next award, and let me advance this. All right, so it's going to the city of Pacific Grove for their Point Pinos Coastal Recreational Trail project. And this is a project that was completed last year in 2022. And it's along a 1 mile stretch along Ocean View Boulevard and Pacific Grove. Now, before this project, one of the problems that that area had was the fact that there were really no formalized, safe and accessible coastal amenities for people that were along their username for the users. So we're talking about trails, we're talking about parking, we're talking about coastal access points. So this is kind of what it looked like before the project. As you can see here, when we talk about trails, people just sort of informally walk through the ice plant along there. How many of us have done that? I know I have. Prime example there. Again, it's not really a form of trail. People just make the best use of what's available to them. And then the parking, people just sort of park haphazardly wherever they could find a space. So what this project did is that they then, let me go back for just a second. I want to point something else out. This nearly 1 mile stretch was also part of the California Coastal Trail, right? But there was a gap between the city of Monterey and Pacific Grove. So there were 4 miles within Pacific Grove, and 3 of those 4 miles that represented a gap. So this project addressed that as well. So the project improvements that they did is they improved safety, access parking, and stormwater capture with the construction of a formal ADA compliant 5 foot wide trail, which you can see here. Formalized parking, which you can see there, and also safety for the pedestrian that's walking on the other side. And then here's the boardwalk that was constructed. This is habitat restoration, native plant restoration there. And then they also included 10 beach access points and various stormwater improvements. So that's the improvements. Looks great, right? And then what happened this winter? Yeah, so how did it do? That's the question. There's debris. There are rocks. And there's the boardwalk intact. All right, it was designed to withstand storms, and the project did that. So not only is it amazing for what it now has opened up to the community, but it has survived the winter storms and it's did exactly what it was designed to do. So the end result is that we're going to congratulate the city of Pacific Grove for a wonderful project. They've made improvements that are going to benefit not only residents, but the thousands of tourists that come and drive along that coastline and are trying to get to the beach and are just trying to enjoy the beauty that we all sometimes take for granted because we live here. So I am going to ask Joyce Hallaby to come up. She is with, she's the Deputy Director of Public Works for the city of Pacific Grove. And Chaps Padori, do you mind coming up as a representative for the city as well? We want to say congratulations to you all. We're going to have you come up. I'm going to also ask our chair and our past chair and our executive to come up and present you with your award and to say congratulations, and then we'll give you an opportunity to say whatever it is that you would like to say.
Yes.
Melissa's going to take a photo. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, we're going to take a photo first, and then, and then you guys can see it. So Melissa will take the photo.
Thank you.
It's a banner to bring it temporarily and put a TAMC banner behind it. Temporary TAMC banner. Yeah.
Wait.
Thanks, sorry.
Chair, members of the board, thank you for honoring the City of Pacific Grove's Public Works Department with the Transportation Excellence Award for our Point Pinos Coastal Trail project. This was actually a project that was years in the making. It started as a vision by the city's recreation board in 2012. So the completion of the project is really the culmination of years of public feedback, design, engineering, permitting, grant applications. One thing to note, it was primarily grant funded, so $2.8 million project. California Natural Resources Agency, the California Coastal Conservancy, TAMC all provided grant funding, without which this project would not be possible. A few other things to note. The project addressed the 0.8 mile stretch, and that was really the gap in the California Coastal Trail, the only gap between the city of Monterey and our 3 to 4 miles of coastline in PG. Prior to that, I think it's kind of an understatement to say that walking along that area was less than ideal. Teresa did a perfect job of kind of describing the conditions prior to the project, but really it was folks walking on narrow, very informal social trails, dirt paths, encroaching on dune habitat, leading dangerously through non-uniform parking areas. And really the parked cars blocked the views and dominated the scene, which is not ideal because that coastline is really our gem. And one of our biggest draws. So through the project, we were able to construct a formal 5-foot wide ADA compliant pathway. We were able to construct a modular boardwalk, which Teresa mentioned was constructed intentionally to withstand wave run up. That's one of our most susceptible areas. And the 2023 storms really proved it to be a success. We were able to install 10 different beach access points, create various stormwater improvements, and do 2.5 acres of native plant restoration. So I can go on and on about all the benefits of the project. I will spare you. We've got a lot of information on our website, and I hope that you guys all take an opportunity to go out there and walk it because it is really something to see. So again, thank you to the TAMC board. Thank you to the California Natural Resources Agency, California Coastal Conservancy for their grant contributions as well, and to the City of Pacific Grove community and leadership who shepherded this process through the various years to really make it come to fruition. So Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Not many of you may actually know Joyce Allaby, but think of her as like Andrew Easterling. She's the backbone behind Pacific Grove, or whatever is happening behind Pacific Grove. So I would like to thank you, Joyce, for all the stuff that you're doing. And I did want to mention that Pacific Grove is known for quite a few things. So think of all the P's, like purple carpet, Point Venus Trail, parklets. So think of all of these things, and I suggest all of you come to town to visit all of this, spend your money there. The one thing that I did want to point out is this project is, at the end of the day, it's like any other project. It's time, resources, and money. And this has been a project which has taken over 2 decades in the making. And it's got a lot of community involvement, a lot of leadership, a lot of resources locally as well as from the state side that have contributed to make this project happen. And we have a lot of funding sources. We have TAMC, we have the city, we have the Air Resources Board, we have the Coastal Conservancy, we have the Natural Resources Agency. All of these have come together to actually make this project happen. So thank you to everybody who's actually participated and contributed to make this project a real big success. And like Louise pointed out, one of the thoughtful designs that we've actually put through in this project is really around what happens in the future. So any erosion, any kind of storm surges that happen, that has been taken into consideration. So every time a storm comes in, there is a buffer, which is the restored dunes habitat, which comes into play, which actually makes the trail still safe for use. So this is a great, wonderful project for us, and I thank everybody who's been participating and contributed to this effort. Thank you.
So we're going to continue the ceremony, and at this point, we're going to recognize some TAMC employees for their service.
Comment.
We have a public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to share a brief story about right in the height of the pandemic. My wife and one of our friends, Angelica, who has a boy, his name is Cuauhtemoc Chavez, in a wheelchair. We actually, the picture that you showed for the access point, we actually visited that exact same spot. And so at the time he was 11 years old, and I remember the mom having to carry him down. And I also remember him not being able to go on the trail with us. So sorry, this is, the work is very important that you did there, because now it allows him to have that equal access. And so I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any comments? All right, well, now move on to our employee awards.
Okay.
Todd.
Thank you. So in this is also the time we recognize staff with their longevity with the agency. And if I could have Ariana Green come on up here. Ariana is a principal transportation planner with the agency, and she is not only the face of our Safe Routes to School program, but also the brains behind the Safe Routes to School program. She really is the guiding light that's developed the program and made it what it is now. So very proud of all the work that Ariana does that we get to take credit for. And we really very much appreciate your 10 years of service to the agency. Thank you.
Take on the keys here.
Yeah. If Bria would come up. Maria Montel is we're celebrating her 15 years with the agency. Maria is part of our administrative team, the backbone of the agency that gets all of our agenda packets out and our minutes done and make sure we're on and keep track with everything. So Maria, thank you very much for your 15 years and really appreciate your service.
Nice. papers. Before we move on, any board member comments for the recognitions? Thank you. And Ariana and Maria. So I can't believe it's been that long, but when I first came up, you were the people that I first started interacting with, especially the bicycle pedestrians. So amazing work. And now we're going to recognize another individual who's been here for 15 years as well. And that is our executive director, Todd Muck. Todd, it has been for me really great to see working with you first before as the assistant executive and to see you move up. For me, I always appreciate when an agency or any business allows the opportunity to move up within the organization. Because I believe that brings continuity, it brings staff morale up as much as possible, and it allows everybody to pursue their goals. So congratulations on 15 years.
Thank you.
I do, just congratulations.
Thank you.
You have a steady hand and you are an excellent sailor and you lead our ship. So that's very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you so much.
This is the next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have, I apologize. Just, it's a verbal.
Oh, oh. So we get to go.
We get to go sit down.
Well,
No, we got one
first
more.
off, we have one more.
Oh, my God.
So I thought we were having a certificate, but this is our opportunity to really recognize Mary for the past year of service and the many years before on this board. I've always enjoyed the meetings with you. I think you've done a great job getting us moving forward, and under your stewardship and working very closely with the TAMC staff, we have brought in millions and millions of dollars for our region. And that really is important to note because the connections that you have made and the relationships that you have built, those are crucial in bringing those dollars here. So thank you for this past year.
Thank you very much.
And I definitely want to open it up to board members. Dave, you have to have something to say.
Well, I was just commenting to Wendy here. This is my 30th year with this organization. And I gotta tell you, the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that we have a professional team here. Whether it's the electeds, whether it's staff, it's amazing how much respect we get when we go around the community. I think it was so well said earlier that we work together in this organization. They're not divided by issues like the Hatton Canyon Freeway or those issues that used to haunt us in the past. We've come together as a community. So I think this recognition we have now is really indicative of what the good organization is, what it should look like in this best. Thank you all. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Any other board members? Wendy?
Yeah, Mary, it's hard running these Zoom meetings with people all over the place. And you did a great job jumping in both, in hybrid spaces and online spaces. And there was a lot going on this past year, but to be able to always know that things were going to be on point, I appreciate your leadership in so many ways. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right, well, thank you. We'll now move on to.
The next item.
Can we just do a, first off, can we just say congratulations, and then can I just selfishly
Yes.
do a plug for next year's awards?
Yes.
Which is the 21st anniversary, right? So all of you who are sitting here as board members and all of you who are online, keep in mind the projects that are going forth so that you can submit your nominations. There will be a call for nominations October of next year. Submit them so that we can honor you at our next board meeting on January 24th. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you.
Well, the next item on the agenda is actually employee of the quarter. So if you could have Dave Delfino come up, this is the day to celebrate everyone's work. Employee of the quarter is are nominated and voted by the TAMC staff. So staff vote every quarter, and and kind of discuss who's been doing what's special for the agency. And it's Dave does a lot of special work for the agency because he's our finance officer, but he does so much more. And he's kept us running throughout the COVID period, being the one who's in the office all the time, make sure all the bills get paid and checks get cut and all those other things. So we certainly want to recognize him for that long service, which is much more than the past quarter. But our office has been a little hectic lately in many ways that we can't control, and that one of them is our heater in the office has been down or on and off for this last few months. And so you never know when you show up, whether it's going to be 72 degrees or 55 degrees. And Dave's been really helping us through that and making sure that staff that can work at home and not have to do things that not have to come in a 55-degree office and work more efficiently when they're at home in a more comfortable environment than our office has been many days this past few months. And Dave has really made that easier for everyone. So for that reason, they chose him as our employee of the quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes. My hands. She's wonderful.
He wants to get back to work.
Yeah, it's true.
High school soon, huh?
So is there any board members or members of the public who'd like to speak on item 6, the employee of the quarter? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to item number 7, receive a presentation and provide input on the Caltrans US 101 business plan. Doug Bills and Matthew Welker from Caltrans.
Thank you, Chair. This morning, we are here to receive a presentation on the draft US 101 business plan. This work represents a great collaboration with our regional partners, and that's led through the Central Coast Coalition. It's a good example of TAMC's effort to leverage funds and look at a comprehensive plan. And they brought me back to Hatton Canyon years ago when I was here, and that was an example where things didn't align. It didn't show you why you needed the project, why it connected with the community. And we're going to go through this plan, and the importance of having that plan and getting funds is to show how it all connects. So with that, I'm going to introduce a familiar face. Madeline Jacobson she holds the longest title. Let's see if I can get this right. District 5 Acting Branch Chief of Systems Planning and Investment. It's a big business card. It's about this big.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back and see so many familiar faces. I am, as Doug introduced, the acting branch chief for our system and investment planning group at District 5. I've been with District 5 for almost a year and a half or so. And this plan actually started while I was still working at TAMC. So it's full circle moment to introduce it in a final draft form to the board. So I wanted to introduce Matt Welker, who's on my staff. And Matt is going to provide the presentation on the US 101 business plan that's near its final completion. And Matt will share some of what's behind it and what it's intended to help us do with a specific focus on the 101 corridor and some impacts in Monterey County. So Matt, go ahead.
Thank you, Madeline, and thank you. Mayor, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to present today. It's going to be tough to follow all of the positivity from the awards, but I'll do my best. As Madeline said, my name is Matt Welker, and I'm a transportation planner with Caltrans District 5. And I'm excited to share that after years of collaboration with our partners in the Central Coast Coalition, we finally have a draft of our US 101 business plan that will be ready to publish soon. The draft plan can be found on Santa Barbara County Association of Governments programming website, which should be linked in the staff report in the agenda. The reason it's on SPCAG's website, not Caltrans, is just because everything we post has to be ADA compliant. And since it's in a draft stage, we want to be able to provide you folks with a copy to provide feedback and comment. Speaking of feedback, I'd like to specify that we are asking for any final comments on the plan be provided by March 10th. We do anticipate this being a living document, something that'll grow alongside of our partners' regional transportation plans. So if there are ever any comments or project suggestions that come up after this time, please feel free to reach out. This is an ongoing conversation, and hopefully those comments can be reflected in future iterations and updates as well. Now, I personally have never presented for you folks, and I know it's been a while since we've presented as a whole on the US 101 business plan. So today's presentation should serve as an introduction and a refresher. Introduction, obviously, to those who have never heard it, and a refresher to you folks that haven't been presented to in probably several years. So with that, let's jump into the content. US 101 business plan was initiated by an action item proposed by the Central Coast Coalition, I believe in Salinas in 2019. The US 101 business plan follows a similar model to that of the Central Valley State Route 99 plan. And the purpose of our plan, being very similar, is that it is to provide the data, strategy, and community support needed to secure funding along the 101 corridor. As a whole, the US 101 business plan should serve as a roadmap to achieving our corridor's goals. It has a strong foundation built on partner feedback, existing partner regional transportation plans, focus group input, and an online an online survey. The role of the business plan is to identify US 101 corridor transportation projects and examine how well those identified improvements will serve the corridor. And it's important to note that we're not adding any new projects. We're only using projects that have been vetted and developed by our partners and that are found in their regional transportation plans. Chapter 7 of the business plan states the total funding need for the corridor and identifies funding sources to help link specific potential projects to the funding programs. Caltrans District 6 Route 99 business plan was very successful in this endeavor. Their plan not only showcased the importance of the 99 corridor, but it identified investment needs prior to Proposition 1B in 2006, which ultimately helped leverage approximately $1 billion in bonds. By following that same 99 business plan model, we hope that our US 101 business plan will provide a medium to communicate with policymakers, partners, and the public in the future. Now, as you can see on the screen, we have the Route 101 corridor that cuts through District 5. It begins at the Santa Barbara Ventura County line and extends north to the Santa Clara San Benito County line. And because this corridor crosses very many land uses and different regions with a myriad of different needs, our development team proposed separating it into 11 different segments. These segments were inspired by vehicle miles traveled, land use types, partner feedback, and the US 101 Transportation Concept Report. A variation of this, like I said, was in our TCR with some slight differences, and a breakdown of the segments can be found in the business plan at a greater detail. Also on the screen, we have the signed charter from the Central Coast Coalition. This charter was paramount in helping us identify and establish objectives, provide regionally significant data, and coalition members were also paramount in establishing input and direction on the plan. Regular updates have occurred monthly to the coalition, and I believe the last distribution to them was in August 31st of 2022. We've been doing a comment period with them and our partners since that date. You can find the full charter text on our business plan website, and it is also in the business plan itself. Now, at the risk of repeating myself, I would like to reiterate that the business plan builds on existing corridor plans and studies. We really wanted to build on the previous successes of our partners. And in doing that, we sought direct sources of partnering regional transportation plans. We are aware that some of the covers you might see on the screen are a little outdated, but that's because the PowerPoint is a tad outdated. I want to assure you that everything that we've referenced is up to date and will continue to move along with future updates of regional transportation plans as well. US 101 business plan was intended to help us make a business case for investments in the US 101 corridor, helps us present a unified front to inform statewide priorities and potential investment opportunities. Some opportunities that we've considered include SB1 discretionary program opportunities, infra, build, and always changing and new IJA programs that have been coming up. Also, the plan will provide input to additional statewide plans like the California Transportation Plan, the Interregional Transportation Strategic Plan, and the California Freight Mobility Plan. We also hope that the plan can be distributed to our partners in the North and South districts, and really any district that 101 goes through to help better inform projects along their corridors as well. And then we did want to call out one priority project type as an example, which is the US 101 South of Salinas Improvement Project. This is highlighted in our business plan as a priority project, and some of our performance metrics provide a data backing to the importance of this corridor and establish areas where we can create improvements or where this project may create improvements. And ultimately, the goal is that we can jointly between TAMC and Caltrans leverage Measure X dollars to secure the funding necessary to get projects similar to this funding. I briefly touched on it, but we did go through a pretty extensive process of goal selection when reviewing the RTPs. Of all of the partner regional transportation plans, we identified 5 primary goal areas that all of our partners shared, those being safety and health, sustainability and climate change, economy, mobility, and equity. It was important to us that Caltrans and our partners take ownership of these goals, and that our goals also align with Executive Orders N1919 and N7920, meaning that we support the state's climate action goals while also pushing for a reduction in greenhouse gases and vehicle miles traveled. Our fact sheet goes into more details on these safety goals, or excuse me, on these goals altogether, as well as the business plan, and I believe also on our website. Tied to the goals are priority project types. We have 5 defined priority project types, being operational improvements in conflict point reduction, alternative fuel charging stations and air pollutant reduction, freight and goods movement improvements, freeway conversion and new interchanges, and bike, ped, transit, rail, and park and ride improvements. Completing a project, completing or funding a project listed within these priority project types would directly accomplish one of the goals that you'd seen before. So for example, an operational improvement may meet the safety goal, while a new interchange could potentially meet the mobility goal, just to name a couple examples. I want to highlight again that priority projects under these types were obtained directly from the regional transportation plans. The business plan itself does not propose any new improvements or developments that have not otherwise been considered by our partners. A more regionally specific snippet of the priority projects for Monterey County, I believe, were included in the agenda. So if you have a chance, you can peruse some of the ones that were selected in there. I'll keep the next couple slides relatively short. We really need an objective reasoning for which projects to include in the business plan. So on this slide here, you can see a non-exhaustive list of some of the considerations that we took when selecting projects. I do want to state this is not a stagnant list. As times change, priorities change, projects change, so will our considerations. And those extend to this next slide, which is off-highway or non-highway projects. We did want to limit how many non-highway projects we promote, simply because it is the US 101 business plan after all. That said, it is comprehensive and there are some non-highway considerations. And my contact information is in the staff report. Madeline's is on the board as well. We're always here for a resource or any questions. And that's the end of my presentation, so I can open it up to any questions.
Thank you, Matt, and great seeing you again, Madeline. Board members, any questions or comments? Yes, yeah, thank you. Your slide with regard to projects that you'll consider said, if I recall, improving access to an alternative fueling station. Currently, Monterey County lacks any hydrogen fueling facilities for heavy-duty vehicles. It's been listed as a priority for the state as there are no hydrogen fueling between San Jose and LA, my understanding. And I know my counterparts would be the, I guess, the Highway 101 Transit Coalition are very interested in pursuing potential for hydrogen fueling, which would also benefit heavy-duty fleets for freight and agricultural movement as well. So the question I have is it simply improving access to, or would it consider the actual construction and building of alternative fueling facilities, including hydrogen fueling facilities?
I would state that at this particular moment, it would be something that would have to be vetted by TAMC, for example, in their RTPs. So I don't want to speak for Scott and Madeline to say that it would be directly for the construction of it. But if it met with the same goals and initiatives that TAMC is going for, that we are moving towards, then yes, I could see it being added to the project.
Thank you.
Our project list.
Yes.
Hi, this is a response to Carl's question. I just wanted to update the group. AMBAG is leading the effort with TAMC as a partner for a grant-funded, Caltrans grant-funded project for the entire Central Coast from Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and San Luis Obispo, sustainable freight study, so we can advance some of our projects. We received funding on that, and we expect to hire a consultant, get them on board next month. As part of that effort, and with the importance of alternative fuels in this corridor, AMBAG is putting forward a grant application and service and add-on to potentially the freight study to look at alternative fuels locations and for freight, among other things, in the 101 corridor. And so we're hoping to put that forward as part of this grant cycle and fold it into our existing 101 freight work, so that it can be incorporated in both TAMC's next RTP update, which they're probably starting soon, and AMBAG's MTPSCS update. So we are looking at that because we realize it's really important.
It's nothing that's going to happen overnight and probably
No.
has time to work into the plan. I just want to make sure that it's out there. A lot of folks, we put a lot of energy and mental energy into battery electric charging stations. And for heavy duty fleets, there still are significant range issues for trucks, large scale freight, and for buses as well. And hydrogen may end up being the better solution for those larger vehicles and battery electric for smaller vehicles. I just don't want hydrogen to be left out of inadvertently left out of the discussion.
We're definitely thinking about it.
Thank you, Carl. That's a very important point. And Heather, as you move forward to, please contact our city as well. We have done a semi-evaluation on the water needs use for hydrogen. And we would be amicable to having a production facility there that can meet the needs throughout this corridor.
Oh, great. I'll let our freight project manager know.
Yes. Any other comments from the board? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. I'm a little new here, so kind of probably have a couple of questions to catch up on here. This report, I know the draft is due by the or comments for the draft are by the 10th. When is this report scheduled to be final?
It's scheduled to be final March 31st.
And it will set the tone, the direction for what period of time?
It's going to be an ongoing living document, air quotes living. Annual updates might not be something that makes sense, as RTPs are usually updated every couple of years. So it's to keep pace with our partners and keep pace with projects that are significant to our partners. So we expect it March 31st, and based on coalition feedback, we are discussing every 2 years, maybe a biannual addendum or an update.
So new projects may come in at that time.
New projects may come in.
Okay. And to understand the business plan here, part of it, I know there's a whole range of things from rail to bicycle, but in the sense I gather this plan is to just create greater freeway access to businesses or businesses that are sort of shopping centers or communities that are, or I should say businesses more, that are sort of landlocked or locked off the side, don't have good access. Is that part of it?
In part, the driving goals being some of the ones we saw earlier of reducing VMT, improving safety, and just overall enhancing the corridor. The business aspect of business plan is similar to us making a financial case for where we hope to see improvements, rather than a business trying to see profit from the sale of something. We're trying to see quote unquote profit of improved livability, safety, and livelihood. Folks.
So just to follow up, so if there is an area of multiple businesses in here designated as commercial or industrial, and there's ingress, egress difficulties from both sides of the highway, that would be something that would fall into that.
Yeah, mobility and accessibility projects that would connect folks. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Other board members? Madeline?
Yeah, I just want to expand on the question of the horizon of the plan. And our RTPs are 20, 22-year horizons. And so this plan incorporates the RTPs. The RTPs throughout District 5 are at slightly varying stages. And so our ultimate goal is to update it on a routine basis to model the RTP horizons and try to capture everybody's changes as they come to fruition.
Yes.
So I'm in Monterey. We don't have 101 next to us. However, significant impact to Monterey. Obviously, you all know, and the 101 is vital for the peninsula for a variety of reasons, for shipping, tourism, egress. I go out of town twice a month, and so I'm on the 101 up and down the state. So I'm excited about this plan because I think it gives us opportunities to identify emerging problems before the problems staring us in the face. And I think we could probably all relate to many of the things that we know we have problems with now with the capacity of 101. And one of them is through North County and on to through the eucalyptus trees and the interchange as folks go over to 156, right? I was getting confused, going over to Hollister. So we know we have a lot of those identified. Will this report be able to give us a sense of what we have already identified as emerging areas of concern? Will the report really talk about what we already know in the room is that the San Miguel is kind of overloading now, or the interchange to get to Hollister? So will the report kind of identify some of those key areas that we've already been living with we may not set a priority of what to do with them, but I'm wondering how the report addresses that.
Sure. The report does identify certain key areas, especially in the performance metrics section, where it highlights along the corridor buffered concerns, for example, or even not even concerns, but say access to jobs or congestion or whatever the performance metric is. That is central. Those metrics are pretty central to the US 101 though. It doesn't discuss very many off-highway projects that would tangentially affect it. But it is a consideration that I believe could be expanded upon.
Yeah, I think that's where the opportunity is to really, have robust examinations of opportunities that do impact the peninsula cities. Is obviously we're tied to 101 and we're tied to one. Everything that happens, because nobody gets here unless they're on 101. So, looking at those opportunities, because we already know there's identified issues with many of the places along 101. So great, thank you.
One last comment. One of the main ways we'll be using the business plan is as a supporting document, providing a lot of material for future grant applications. And it really shows, it's not just looking at Monterey County, it's the whole Central Coast Corridor and how our projects may benefit areas outside of Monterey County. And that's really, we'll be able to use this as a tool to support those grant applications. So that's from my perspective, the key thing about this. And in the same time, our partners in San Luis Obispo and San Benito and Santa Barbara counties, and San Luis Obispo counties will be able to use it the same way. And that's a big part of the Central Coast Coalition, that our partnership with the Central Coast counties, how we work together to advocate for the Central Coast as a bigger area than just Monterey County. And like this TAMC board, all working together, we get farther than working independently. And this is kind of one of the main products we had from the Central Coast Coalition.
Other board members?
No, I would just say, and that's why we had to be focused on funding for the corridor itself, not the excess necessary to or against, because the money's going to flow somewhere on 101. And being a partner with other counties, it depends on, we have to be focused, otherwise they don't get focused, and then we lose opportunities.
Any member of the public have any comments? Can I ask, any member of the public have any comments on this item? Hearing and seeing none. Matt, Madeline, appreciate that. Look forward to it. Oh,
I'm just gonna say,
no, you first.
as much as I love seeing promotion from within TAMC, I do love seeing promotion from TAMC staff out into other agencies where you get to take all of the knowledge and expertise that you have about what our issues are here and make sure they get embedded into these larger plans. So thank you for the presentation and
Andrew, you had
No.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, folks.
All right, we'll now move on to item number 8, receive reports from our transportation providers. We'll start with Caltrans Director.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm Scott Eads, here for the district director. So first I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive into Highway 1. As we all know, there's multiple slides, multiple closures right now. So I'm going to spend most of my time on that, if that's okay with everyone. Highway 1 remains closed due to 3 major slides efforts. The first is what we call Paul Slide. That's the northernmost location at post mile 22. There's the Mill Creek Slide at post mile 18, 4 miles south of there. And then the Polar Star Slide, which is, if you haven't heard that term before, it's because it's a new location in San Luis Obispo County, just south of Ragged Point. So all of that entire area is not accessible right now. And Caltrans, we have a responsibility of making sure that we're protecting the safety of those that might be trying to move through these areas. And so we're constantly assessing. We have our geotech folks out there on these hillsides, climbing, excavating, doing what they can to try to get them open as quickly as we can, but they are still saturated. They're still moving. And there's cleanup activities that are taking place as quickly as we can, to the degree we can even put equipment underneath some of these active slides. So we are, we're certainly focused on getting the roadway open as quickly as we can, but the reality is the conditions don't allow us to do so right at this point. So one thing that we have been doing is coordinating closely with the Monterey County Emergency Services Operations Center, the CHP, local emergency providers, Cal OES, and many others. Supervisor Adams has been involved consistently. So for the areas of Hall Slide, what we are doing now is resupply convoys are being organized. So this is on the northern end of the closure area, but effectively from Lime Creek, which is at post mile 32, so roughly 10 miles south, I'm sorry, 10 miles north of Lime Creek. That's the turnaround point right now that's been established. It's a place that has good visibility where folks can turn around. So if a tourist is trying to head south on Highway 1, that's the location that they would come to and be turned around. There are some activities south of that between there and Paul Slide that we're still working on that are storm damage repairs as well. But by and large, with this convoy idea, we're able to allow folks to travel together to get down to Paul Slide and back to resupply. So the convoy, we had one yesterday, and then there'll be another one set up for Friday, and we'll continue on Tuesdays and Fridays indefinitely as needed. That'll just depend on conditions. So the convoys will leave in the morning from Paul Slide and head north, and at 8 a.m. and residents are asked to wait at their driveways if they wish to join the convoy, and then they'll be coming back in the afternoon. Same thing, so we'll be doing it at 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. And allowing basically vehicles to travel together to make sure we're getting around the conditions there safely, and local emergency providers will be helping with that. Residents that are impacted by slides between Paul Slide and Mill Creek, there is challenging access through the Nossamino Ferguson Road. So really that should be used on an emergency basis. It's you would need an experienced driver with the right type of vehicle to get through there, but it is an option. And for those that are south of Mill Creek, basically we're working with Cal OES and others to see about other types of resupply missions, whether that be helicopter or other ways to get food and supplies and medical items to those folks that are in those areas. I'll stop there. Supervisor Adams may have some other information to share along these lines. I'm happy to take any questions on that particular item before I move on, if that's okay.
Thanks, Scott. I mean, this has been just so devastating to everyone. Thinking about Paul Slide, particularly, it was just a miraculous job. The road reopened in 84 days. I mean, it was just incredible. And it has held for a long time. And now to see it just come down again, not 100%, but it's been very disappointing, to people personally. Just, it's a desperate situation. But the folks that I'm worried about the most, convoy's working really well. Everybody's happy with that. But the folks that I'm worried about are the ones who are truly isolated, those that are in that south of Mill Creek area. And we've got a helicopter food drop planned for Friday, which will be great. They're going to do a trial run on Thursday, and then Friday we'll do the drop. But unfortunately, at this point, at any rate, we don't have a vendor that's willing to take propane in. And those folks have been really isolated for almost 3 weeks now. And there's no way for them to have fuel to heat their homes. So that's been a real challenge for people. And we're still working on that. My expectation is that we'll come up with some vendor that's willing to take the risk to take a bunch of propane up a mountain. But I think that, I don't mean to make light of it, because it certainly is not a light situation. With the idea that more rain is going to be coming in the first weekend of February, I think everyone is pretty goosey about things. There have been just kind of varying numbers of people. Is it 150 people or is it 400 people? But I really applaud the volunteers, the CERT volunteers, the Big Sur Fire Department, that the cabs volunteers that have really come together to marshal the locals in the way that they do. It's just the most resilient community you could ever imagine. And they're, coming together to make things work in the only way that they can. So at this point, I'm very thankful for the convoys, because that allows those who want to stay. And that's really, really been very much appreciated. It's difficult because people see the road and it looks clear. And there's some really ugly kinds of things on social media, and I'm so sorry that, Caltrans is the brunt of that. But people don't really understand because they just see a clear road and they don't know why they can't drive on it. No matter how many times we say it's unsteady, you can't rely on it, you're jeopardizing workers as well as yourselves. It doesn't seem to make a difference. They see a clear road and they feel like they ought to be able to just drive on it. So at any rate, thank you so much for all of the work that you and all of the employees and at Caltrans are doing to make this a workable situation. And I do know that it is true that those that live there and have lived there for a long time do have an intimate knowledge of the road. And I'm always thankful when they're at the table and are helpful in making decisions that impact them and their lives. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Other board members?
Yes, I have a question. This is Greg Hawthorne, and I own a home and business down in Big Sur. And thank you, Scott, for keeping the roads cleared off for us that are north of the slides. Of course, it's important. And but our neighbors to the south are, as Mary indicated, are really kind of freaking out because they would like to have through Mill Creek, they would like to have a convoy through that as soon as possible, even if it's a half hour in the morning or half hour in the evening, so that they can get not only propane, but food and different things. And just to get, when you're stuck in a spot, we were an island here in Big Sur in 2017 for 8 months. And I know the feeling, especially that first couple of months where we didn't have a trail even. But one of the things that would be really helpful, if you could get out the word that Mill Creek will have a convoy in such and such, if it, when you have any idea that you can get a short convoy to let some of these people out, because I know they're getting antsy and they're probably contacting Mary and everybody else. And so I'd like to speak for some of these neighbors. If you can really get that going, it would be really helpful. Just a small one, if you can, just so that they can escape for a little while and then come back. So much appreciated if you could work that out. All right, as soon as possible, and just communicate with these neighbors. So you communicate and let them know if you have a time frame or any idea, because it's dry now for a little while and maybe we can have a break here. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I could, through the chair, to board member Hawthorne. So yes, we are trying to do everything we can to communicate. At Mill Creek, there is effectively a spring condition that's happening within the slide. So there's water coming down. So it's just really saturated material. Challenging situation. We have geotech engineers out there monitoring, and we're doing everything we can to the degree that the conditions are safe enough to allow vehicles to pass through there. Absolutely. That's something we are working towards and interested in doing. Of course, all of this is weather dependent in terms of if we have additional rains. So certainly on our mind, and we're doing everything we can. We're issuing regular press releases. We're working with the community to try to communicate the best we can. Certainly a challenging situation, and we have a shared goal in terms of trying to get safe access established as quickly as we can. And if the convoy is the way to do that, when the access is allowed, then we'll do that. So
thank you.
Any other board member questions?
I do have one more item that I wanted to speak on then, and that's we have a Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant. I probably have mentioned this in previous updates, but the call for projects or the call for applications is now live. It went out on January 12th. There's 3 grant categories this year. There's a Sustainable Communities grants, and there's 29 million, roughly $30 million available through that grant category. And then climate adaptation planning grants. There's $50 million. That's a brand new grant category. So that's a pretty significant opportunity. You know, we're talking about climate adaptation and some of the effects right now. So if you have areas that you feel like warrant further studies and you can benefit from this is a great opportunity to receive grant funding to be able to study further location-specific climate adaptation challenge areas. And then there's the third category is strategic partnership grants. There's $4.5 million available there. So applications are due on 5 p.m. or before on March 9th of this year. And then there's a portal to submit. It's a smart sheet portal. It's all on the Caltrans website. We are having some workshops. The first District 5 is actually hosting. It's a virtual event and it is happening tomorrow on January 26th from 9:30 to 11 a.m. And then Caltrans headquarters is also working on a virtual grant application workshop, likely in February. So for more information, it's got a very long web address. So what I would recommend is you go to dot.ca.gov, that's the Caltrans website. And then in the search area, just type in Sustainable Transportation Planning Grants. And it'll bring you to the page that has all the information on there. Feel free to contact me and I'm happy to send out the web address as well, or a link for you. So I have, happy to take any further questions.
Can I just make another comment? In the midst of all of this unbelievable madness with the storms, the headquarters of Caltrans for our Central Coast in San Luis Obispo County got massively flooded. So all of the folks who are working on all of these issues for us were having to deal with their own offices, you know, just under destruction. So it's been rough on you guys. It really has.
Yeah, we had 17 inches of water in our basement with staff housed down there and equipment. And so that's been a challenge. We've been locked out of the building. Power had to be shut down and they're relocating servers and other equipment. So yeah, it's been an adventure.
Thank you, Scott. We'll now move to the Monterey Peninsula Airport report with Bill Sabo.
Thank you, Mike, and congratulations on your chairmanship and Supervisor Adams. Thank you for the leadership you've provided to all of us. The most important thing I want to share with the group here is during the weather events that we've had in December and January, we never lost any service that inbound or outbound from the Monterey Airport. And I think what that points up is that because we can have rather severe environmental impacts here with floods and fires, the airport is a resource for us to bring in supplies if necessary, evacuate people out, because 101 and Highway 1 may not always be available, and we've kind of learned that. So we have a valuable airport, valuable asset at the Monterey Airport, and it's there for the entire county. And going back to December, when the rain started, we didn't have any cancellations, except a few that originated with the major hubs where they couldn't provide the pilots or the staffing necessary to get airplanes to the Monterey Airport. So we didn't have any outbound cancellations, except for lack of an airplane. And then the delays were all due to inbounds from other airports, the major airports. So, and we're all familiar with that from the TV coverage. The thing I wanted to share with you was in February, that will start the mainline service to Dallas-Fort Worth on American Airlines. This is the first time that we've had large airplanes and what they call mainline service since the early 90s. And so this will mean more seats to a major hub where you can go anywhere in the world from Dallas-Fort Worth. So we think that's a major step forward, and that really puts Monterey Regional Airport on the map. And Our passenger counts are tracking very nicely with industry trends, and so we're holding our own. And I wanted to point out that for fare comparisons with San Jose International, we're within 5% all the time on all the fares. So those who love the comparison, it's cheaper to go to San Jose International. It ain't true, and we'll always beat you on parking. So anyhow, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board, and good luck, Mike, on your year ahead of you.
Thank you, Bill. And I just want to highlight, you're correct on the cost of the tickets. I'm heading out to Florida to visit my son at the end of February. And I did compare it with San Jose. It was like a $75 difference. The parking up in San Jose is ridiculous, and going through the whole process there, I love going through Monterey. I will now move on to the
Can
Monterey.
I just make a quick comment
Absolutely.
to Bill particularly? I really expected you to give a little pushback to Ed Smith when he indicated that the only way you can get to the peninsula is on Highway 101.
I did notice that, and I didn't want to string them up quite yet, but I'm laying in wait for them in the future. So.
All right, now I'll move on to Monterey Salinas Transit District, Carl Sidoric.
Thank you, Chair. I guess to continue on with the theme of emergency response and recovery, I just really want to thank the County of Office Emergency Services and their EOC. I've been here on the peninsula for a little over 20 years now, and I've seen any number of wildfires and floods during that time. And I'd say this was the best coordinated event in those 2 decades I've been here. With their assistance, we were able to, we found ourselves about a foot away from potentially losing access to the Monterey Peninsula from all of our major roads, which we have 70% of our buses are on one side of the river, and 70% of our employees who drive those buses are on the other side of the river. So that required some unique, provided some unique logistical challenges for us in order to continue providing, medically necessary dialysis trips and other trips throughout the county that folks who depend on us. And coordinating with the county, they offered space here at Schilling Place for us to stage buses in the event that we were going to lose access. They helped us arrange for hotel space for employees that we wanted to pre-stage on the peninsula side of the river in order so that we could continue providing service on the peninsula side. Fortunately, none of that needed to take place, but it was all too close for us. In the meantime, we did provide over 160 people emergency evacuation services, using our partners at MB Transit, who run the MST Rides program for us, local taxi cab companies, and large MST buses. We were taking, from single passengers to, persons with disabilities and their personal caregivers, to large calls for unhoused members of the community, 10, 12 at a time, complete families with little children that were in harm's way. We were able to move them to and between various evacuation centers. And we're still working now that we're moving more into a recovery stage, moving from response to recovery. We're working with United Way's 211 program and the FEMA departments, and we're moving folks from San Ardo and from Spreckles to the relief center. I'm sorry, from San Ardo and from Pajaro to the relief center in Spreckles. And we're having trips every day from people there that are, we're carrying folks to those, to and from those locations so that they can continue to get their relief. So challenging times, but again, a lot of coordination and teamwork. Again, as I said, it was the best I've seen in 20 years here on the peninsula, everyone pulling together and the EOC being really out in front of this. So much appreciation there. Other news, starting this past Monday, we kicked back into our college pass services for CSUMB, Monterey Peninsula College, and Hartnell. All their students ride free on MST. Again, for this next semester, for CSUMB, that has also extended to their faculty and staff. And then beginning January 30th, our kind of first of its kind in the state and in the nation, if you will, contactless payment system that we worked on with Visa and other partners during the pandemic. Visa is going to offer a promotion. They're people who pay with their contactless Visa product will receive a half off payment for a period of time. Visa is looking to promote more use of their payment schemes. So we're happy to pass that along to our passengers who are choosing to use those tools to pay for their services on MST. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Carl. And, so many people think of public transit, just getting from here to there, and they forget about times of emergencies. Public transit is activated to get people safe and out of harm's way. And appreciate that. Any comments from board members? All right. Is Rich Stedman here for Monterey Bay Air Resource District?
Hi, this is Dave from Monterey Bay Air Resources District. Yeah, Rich couldn't be here today. He's with the National Association of Clean Air Agencies meeting. I'm planning and air monitoring manager at the Monterey Bay Air Resources District, and we have a couple of programs going on right now that you might be interested in. We've got our diesel engine and equipment replacement program. These are pass-through grants that we get from the state of California, from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund and some tire fees and whatnot. One program is called Farmer, which is the funding agricultural reduction measures for emission reductions, funding agricultural replacement measures for emission reductions, and our Carl Moyer program, which we've been running for about 25 years now. So what that does is it provides funding for replacement of old, dirty diesel generator or diesel engines that are found in tractors, bulldozers, marine vessels, irrigation pumps. And we offer the funding for replacement up to 50% or $150,000, whichever is less. It's an extremely popular program. We currently have about $4 million available for these programs. So that's going on right now. Application period is running through the end of March. The supply chain issues for electric school buses are being resolved. It looks like we've got some deliveries going to be scheduled this summer. We've got 9 buses that have been on hold while we're waiting for the supply chain issues to resolve. 2 of the buses that are in Monterey County, we've got one electric school bus for North Monterey County Unified School District and another for Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. That's what we've got going into my report. Thank you.
David, any questions or comments? Any member of the public have any comments on the reports? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to the executive director's or item 9. Was there any reports on meetings attended by board members at transportation agency expense?
None that we're aware of.
Thank you. Move on to item 10, executive director's report.
Thank you. I'll be brief as the time is getting a little late. I just really appreciate everyone making the effort to be here today for our live meeting. It's a real pleasure to see everyone in person. Want to acknowledge TAMC staff here in the room, and it's nice that they get to see their board members and you can see all the people that do all the work for the agency. One big announcement is that we did receive a $1 million federal earmark from Congressman Panetta for the US 101 South Auxiliary Lane at Spence and Elkhart. And this is money that we're using, we're matching with a little Measure X money, and it's matching state operations protection program, SHOP program funding to do that auxiliary lane. So I wanted to express my real appreciation for Chris Lopez for your work on that, and also for the South of Salinas Traffic Safety Alliance and their strong support for projects along the corridor. This will be the first construction project within the US 101 South of Salinas corridor. And then I'll just conclude. I wanted to congratulate, acknowledge Lynn Terry, who is retiring from TAMC after 14 years. She's our account clerk. She's the one who truly keeps all the money flowing. And she likes to stay in the background and doesn't want to be acknowledged. But thank you, Lynn, for all your work.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right. Any announcements or comments from any of the members on matters they wish to put on future agendas? All right, seeing none, we'll be heading into closed session, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, position executive director. Thank you, everyone.